Hey Poyo, I've been looking at the design drawings for your new body, and I think that the modular attachments are the way to go. Kid, why don't you take a seat? Is this about the 3D printed penis in your luggage, Harvey? Because that was 90s dude's idea. I just encouraged it. No, Linkara, just take a seat. Okay, what's up? Now that the 800th episode is done with, I'd like to get to work on some other things.
And we appreciate that, but this has gone on long enough and something has to be done.
What are you talking about?
Look, I'm just going to come out and say it because they don't want to. Linkara, this is an intervention.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. What's with these awkward subjects? What's all this art so rubbish? To anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he is a man, punch, wears a birdie hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun, where'd he purchase that? Linkara, cows, muscles, some trophy deconstructs. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara sits down nonetheless and forces himself through it. A poorly written, ugly mess, but someone's gotta do it. It may look like this time he's screwed, and you might just find him in a fiery mood. And if it may seem just a bit extreme, that's fine in the eyes of the 90s dude. Setting ablaze crossovers, one-shots and tie-ins. Linkara stands in reality defiance atop the fourth wall, looking down on us all. Of course, don't you know anything about science? There would be better books on his show. We could sort of sold them to Mephisto, and now there's nothing left to do but share the scrapings at the bottom of the barrel with you. Linkara, he is a man, punch, sporadically a grouch. Linkara, he has his own spaceship, but he's always on his couch. Linkara, ghosts, gods, a universe in flux. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
This is the stupidest thing I've ever had to go through. And after 800 episodes of this show, I have to congratulate you guys on taking the cake. Kid, we are not here to attack you, and we want you to know that we are not holding you here. Okay, cool. Bye. Nimue, beam me up.
Nimue, bring him back.
Okay, so you're not keeping me here, but you are going to keep dragging me back. I see how it is. We feel, Linkara, that the situation has gotten out of hand and something has to be done about it. Kid, we all love you, and we just want to get to the bottom of this problem you have. Actually, love is a bit of a strong word for me. I have two in a parallel universe whom I would say I care about more.
Only two?
Broke up with the Russian spy. He had commitment issues. Oh, I'm so sorry. Thanks, but I'm doing okay. Focus, people. We're here for Linkara. You don't have to be. I would much rather talk about Linksano's broken heart. Dude, we're here for a good reason. No, we're not. Kid, your schedule slips have gotten completely out of control, and that's why we're staging this intervention. You admit that I'm having a problem releasing episodes weekly like I used to, and your solution is to drag me away from getting back to work. I can see you thought this through carefully.
This is becoming an increasing problem for more than just the show, Linkara. How long have I been waiting on a new body?
Okay, I can't just whip up a new body out of nowhere.
You have, in fact, done that multiple times now.
Past performance is not indicative of future success, as I have sadly realized. We have gathered everyone here and have even obtained some testimonials from your internet friends who are going to talk about how your failure to put out episodes has affected them. Why would it affect them at all? Some of them don't even do videos themselves anymore.
Do you want to stop doing videos?
No. If you're thinking I'm burnt out, I'm not.
It is a possibility you need to consider.
I have scripts and ideas and plans for the 1000th episode, and that's at least 4 years away. At least is the thing, though. Your 800th episode should have come out in 2024, yet here we are 3/4 of the way through 2025, and it's only now coming out. Are you sure you'll even reach your 1000th episode at this rate? Certainly not while I'm sitting here arguing with you all. Okay, let's hear your side of it. 800th episode. Tell us about it. Well, hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where it's our 800th episode! Okay, yeah, I brought this up in the 700th episode, but we're in kind of a limbo zone right now where the 100th episode isn't a sexy number like 100 or 500 or 1000. So while, yay, we're celebrating this, I feel like a lot of people are just gonna kind of shrug at that number. However, we love a good celebration around here. A reminder of what this show stands for and what it's about. And Lord knows we have gone too many months without a truly bad comic. Oh sure, we've had some trash, but let's be honest, those were adaptations of live shows, stuff I've already covered. The last new bad thing I covered this year was Youngblood's Strike File, and that's just continuing on garbage we've dissected before. We've had good comics, TV shows, video games, movies, but a fresh review of a bad comic, especially a more recent one? Hoo boy, that's what we're here for, and that's what we're gonna cover. And now, some of you are gonna be kinda confused by my choice here. Like, especially as this show is developed, the 100th episode ends up looking at some truly heinous crap. Holy Terror, Future's End, Spider-Man's Sins Past. And to be frank, I had another comic in mind for this. I'm not going to say what it was because I may still cover it for a future 100th episode, but what I'll say is that it was grim and depressing and stupid and featured a well-known and infamously terrible plot point that will result in so much mockery from me when we do eventually review it. But therein kind of lies the problem. It is a slog of a book. It also feels a little too close to home given how crappy things are in the real world, and yes, art should reflect society and comment on it, blah blah blah, but I really do want this show to be an escape for people, something fun for 20 minutes or half an hour or way too long where they don't have to think about it. It's why the show used to, and someday I hope will return to, premiere on Mondays. People can say Wednesday is the worst day of the week because it's right in the middle, but to me, Monday is the worst because we've still got the whole week ahead of us. So what I'm hearing is that if you scheduled your reviews for a different day of the week, they'd come out on time! There are still only 7 days in a week, dude. Unless we can find a way to make a week longer, I'm still restricted by how long I have to work on it. What I'm hearing, though, is that if I use science to add more days of the week, you'll have more time to do your reviews! Maybe some of us have less to contribute to this than others. Go on, kid. So yeah, we're gonna save the terrible but culturally relevant review for another day and instead talk about a comic that had potential, but instead landed with all the force of a wet noodle, and leaves you scratching your head just as much as if that wet noodle hit you while you were in the middle of a desert. Let's get the in-universe backstory here out of the way. Some of it you should already be familiar with thanks to previous reviews we've done. In 2015 to 2016, there was a storyline in Justice League called The Dark Side War. This is the book that introduced the first big retcon about the Anti-Monitor, and was a storyline written by Jeff Johns, so of course it featured a bunch of retcons. That he was not really just the powerful being we saw in Crisis on Infinite Earths, but rather some asshole named Mobius, of the Metron's chair fame, aka he was basically a New Gods character, and he had a long-standing beef with Darkseid. The actual details of the story aren't relevant, though I'm baffled why this storyline also necessitated 7 tie-in one-shots. But what is important is that during the story, Batman manages to sit in the Mobius chair. The chair contains basically all knowledge of everything, so to test it, Batman asked it 2 questions. The first question was, "Who killed my parents?" Answer, Joe Chill, which he knew already. He then asked the tougher question, "What is the Joker's real name?" We don't hear the answer, but it greatly disturbed him. At the end of the storyline, he's asked what the chair told him, and evidently the chair's answer was something along the lines of, "Which one? There are 3 Jokers." And thus a compelling premise for a storyline. What if the Joker had actually been 3 different people this whole time? What if his inconsistencies as a character, his methodologies, or his goals were actually a result of 3 different people with 3 different agendas and personalities? Sure, it's a retcon, but at least one that had a little more weight to it. Something that might make for a cool exploration. Can't wait for this story to be followed up soon in Batman or Detective Comics, or maybe it's gonna be built up for a big Batman crossover storyline or event. And nothing! A major bombshell of a revelation that didn't end up getting followed up anywhere for years. Now, in their defense, Darkseid War was the last Justice League storyline before DC Rebirth hit the universe. You could probably presume that given how DC's overall priorities shifted during that the Three Jokers thing was just gonna get dropped. One of those bits that got teased and then had to be pushed by the wayside, never to be explained again because it's not what the company wanted to do. Hell, Dark Knight's Metal was gonna be coming in a year, and that was going to end with Batman teaming up with the Joker for a few minutes, for crying out loud. Not really a lot of time to do a story about three people dressing up as a serial killer clown man. And hell, DC was kind of all over the place with stuff going on in those years, especially with Batman. Doomsday Clock, Tom King's run on Batman teasing a wedding with Catwoman before leading into Bane taking over Gotham and killing Alfred, Heroes in Crisis, and even in the same year this came out, James Tynion IV taking over the Batman book and starting with a storyline called Joker War. I can believe that maybe they felt there really wasn't room for a story that only Jeff Johns was interested in making, and Johns himself was busy trying to write Doomsday Clock, aka the sequel to Watchmen, and as a result, kind of a lot of pressure to not screw it up. And thus, Batman 3 Jokers did finally get made in 2020. Except they decided to release it as part of DC Black Label, the imprint that eventually replaced Vertigo for darker, more mature stories, some of whom don't actually exist in continuity. And thus we reach one of the big questions of this story. Is this in continuity? Well, that's a question we'll explore a bit as we dig into Batman 3 Jokers. My scans are from a trade, so I really shouldn't look at the covers, but two things. One, 800th episode, we can make an exception. And two, the covers aren't much to talk about anyway. Now, to be fair, with only 3 issues, they decided that the main covers should just each feature a bust of one of the 3 different Jokers. 2 of them are similar, but still pretty different. The simplicity doesn't harm it at all, especially for the trade, which just combines the 3 covers together and makes it work even better. No, what I really take exception to are the variant covers. While it is cute that some of the variants feature Joker stuff referencing famous stories or interpretations like the Laughing Fish Joker or the Scott Snyder era Joker, it's kind of lame that there are variants for Batman, Batgirl, and Red Hood that are also just a close-up for their faces and where their neck meets their torso. Just imagine if your only impression of me was seeing my face and my upper body all the time. Okay, at least you still got the sides of the frame, and I'm not trying to make this look like a TikTok video. Speaking of close-ups, we open on a zoomed-in shot of Thomas Wayne's grave.
Extreme close-up! Wah!
And it seems Batman wanted a real extreme close-up because he crashes the Batmobile into it.
Every year I leave you roses on your grave, Dad, and not even a thank you card in return.
Actually, he stumbles out of the Batmobile with bleeding injuries from his chest. Also, he decided to park in front of Wayne Manor instead of in the Batcave because shut up.
No through traffic on the road up to my house. I'll drive wherever I want, damn it. I'm Batman.
Time heals all wounds, if they don't kill you first. Or if you get scurvy. We get some quick shots of the Batcave for some reason. Well, arguably 2 shots are kind of significant. One of the suits for Batman, Robin, and Batgirl in glass cases, since there are protagonists, and a trophy case featuring some of Joker's toys. But this shot of the Batcomputer and part of the giant penny, a pullback of that trophy case to showcase some other villain mannequins. I mean, sure, there's one more pullback to show Alfred helping Batman down the stairs, but it feels like there's supposed to be more significance to this, but instead it feels like some random shots, but they managed to have 2 that actually have some thematic weight by coincidence.
My parents.
I'll fix their markers as soon as I fix you. MI6 laughed when I took that stonemasonry class specializing in headstones, but who's laughing now? Alfred begins patching up Bruce, cleaning his wounds and sewing them shut. What was it this time?
An umbrella. Alfred, you really need an umbrella stand or something, because this is like the 5th time I've tripped over it.
A recurring thing that I think started with Hush was the visualization of Batman's body, particularly his back, as full of scars and injuries that he's accumulated over the many years of fighting supervillains. It's a powerful moment in Hush, too. That story was already about Batman's history and a showcase of a good chunk of his most well-known villains. And from a character and narrative perspective, Batman mentions that the cave is very much his most private place. Thus, he's allowing Catwoman into viewing something meant to be private and intimate to show how serious he is about being with her, literally bearing his damage for her to see and let her decide if she wants to be a part of it. The purpose of this scene in Three Jokers is I have 48 pages to fill in this issue, so I can fill up 6 of those until I get to the part of it that's kind of relevant. Yeah, it eventually gets to a point, but it feels like its inclusion here is more padding than anything else and could have been achieved with less. There's not actually a huge amount of story in these 3 issues. There is one. I mean, if we look at our last 100th episode, Superman Year 1, that was also 3 issues, but it was just meandering around looking for a point before it reset what it was trying to do until the next issue. Here, there is actually a story across the 3 issues, but it's weak. Not a whole bunch happens. And that's okay as long as what does happen is interesting, but it's not! Kid, this review is you rambling a whole lot so far. Yeah, I do that. I think it's one of my defining elements, my ability to go off on quasi-related tangents to what I'm reviewing. It's something that helps me stand out as a reviewer, being an incredible dork.
It also makes your videos long and tedious, and thus there's more to edit, thus slowing down the release.
I provide context and information. How are people going to know about the comic history that leads up to this? The entire reason I stopped having the continuity alarm is because people said they wanted to know the comic history. Damn, if only we had some sort of telephonic device we could use. We don't!
Now, don't.
You know, this would go a lot quicker if you guys didn't keep interrupting me. Anywho, the flashbacks that are relevant. The first ones are 3 quick shots of the Joker inflicting damage on Batman, the guy laughing the whole time, of course. I think the other flashbacks shouldn't have had sound effects to help highlight why the laughter is more memorable for him, but still the only ones to have the laughing. And the laughter follows him even out of the flashbacks and onto his grumpy face.
Okay, Alfred, I don't think this ASMR tape is really working out like you hoped it would.
This transitions into, of course, the night his parents were killed, with dialogue from Bruce saying that he'll protect his parents like Zorro if anything should happen in the dark alley that they walk down to get to their car. And then Joe Chill comes out, nervously demands their money and Martha's pearls before shooting them and then running off instead of killing Bruce. This wound is deeper than others. It's going to leave another scar, not that you'd notice.
I'm thinking of hiring a tattoo artist to try to integrate them into a mural on me, Alfred.
You know, there's a thought. I recall reading once that for like one of the later Friday the 13th movies, they tried to integrate all the damage Jason Voorhees had taken over the years into his design, but when they actually examined it, like, his body could not realistically be intact from it. It'd be a huge project, but someone should try to look through every Batman comic and try to calculate what's left of Bruce's flesh after all the damage he sustained. Anyway, the Bat Computer is designed to switch on for plot convenience news, wherein there's a news report about a murder that the Joker has committed.
The last members of the dwindling Moxon crime family were executed at Lou's restaurant in downtown Gotham tonight. Though not for crime-related reasons, the waitstaff was just sick of them trying to skip out on tips.
A witness said the Joker did it, apparently as part of an ongoing war of chaos against organized crime. Yeah, crime bosses, when are you gonna leave a bunch of papers unfiled, damn it?
A war the Joker began when he first appeared in Gotham decades ago.
I'm sorry, my hearing isn't what it used to be, especially since I read it and didn't hear it, but you want to repeat that?
When he first appeared in Gotham decades ago.
Okay, let's be generous here and say they mean like 2 decades ago. A long time, but more reasonable a time frame for the Joker to have shown up. Except for something we're gonna see later. But this does start bringing in one of the confusing aspects of the story. The time frame of the backstory.
The Moxon family gained notoriety when they were accused of orchestrating the murders of Thomas and Martha Wayne. They were exonerated after a petty thief named Joe Chill confessed to acting alone.
Isn't it nice how plot convenience news will give important background details from something like decades back? They mention how Joe Chill is serving a life sentence in Blackgate, and the Joker's identity remains a secret. We also start seeing text boxes identifying the three Jokers by different monikers. This one is The Criminal. We cut over to Barbara Gordon in a gym. She activates maximum speed on her treadmill, and naturally, one of the sponsors of Plot Convenience News is Ironic Commercials Incorporated, which shows an ad talking about moving your legs and having trouble sleeping. Yeah, in case you weren't aware, post-New 52, Barbara's legs were restored. While DC Rebirth and whatnot eventually did put her back as Oracle, it was more a part-time thing and she was still Batgirl and no longer using a wheelchair. Still, our backstory of the Joker shooting and temporarily paralyzing her in the Killing Joke remained, so the trauma is still there. And of course, the Joker has already struck again, killing a Hawaiian comedian. And this enrages Barbara so much that she breaks the treadmill by going too fast on it. Somehow. Like, how does that even happen? The treadmill has a maximum speed. She can't force it to go faster. What'll just happen is she'll run herself into the wall, Wile E. Coyote style. She goes to the locker room and takes a shower, remembering her trauma, and we get close-up shots of her bullet wounds. Which, hey, Heroes in Crisis? Here is how you show her bullet wounds still affecting her and still being present on her without it looking weirdly exploitative and almost grossly fan-servicey. Naturally, with the victim and the Killing Joke connection, the Joker for this one is labeled as the comedian. Netflix has already offered the Joker a 3 special deal as long as he includes transphobia in all of them. We cut over to Jason Todd, aka the Red Hood, who's beating up some of the Joker's goons while listening to a newscast on the radio reporting a third Joker sighting. Details are sketchy, but the Joker has returned to Ace Chemicals, where he first became himself, and has killed some people.
The Joker's recent wave of terror began earlier this week when author Dr. Roger Huntoon was found stuffed in a janitorial closet with a rubber chicken shoved down his throat. His timesheet reports that he had not clucked in yet.
Look, if the Joker's not going to tell an actual joke, then it falls to me to do so. As the goons manage to tackle Jason down, the radio reports that the author was writing a sequel to a controversial book about superheroes that suggested that wearing masks separated heroes from their consciences, allowing them to unleash their darker selves without ramifications. So it's like doubly so for Jason since he wears a mask under his mask.
Dr. Huntoon's sequel, Bang! Psychology, the Damaged Supermen and Women, was to look into the impact of superviolence on their psyches. He proposed that the endless trauma has, in his words, created a cycle of costumed savagery between the good guys and the bad guys, leaving them virtually indistinguishable. It was cancelled when the publisher realized he was just making a book exactly like that one drill tweet. Still, there is a point to be made as Jason has a flashback to being beaten to death with the crowbar by the Joker and unleashes his fury on the goons, demanding to know where the Joker is, but they say they don't know. He admits that he figured they didn't, but he needed to stretch his legs. Thus we get our third Joker variant, the Clown. Now, these are 3 distinct Joker personality types, and I actually think it makes sense. The guy who is focused on committing crimes, maybe on a theme, but he's after monetary theft. The guy who is there to exert his sadistic, twisted, dark sense of humor. And finally, the guy who may do evil, horrible things, but ultimately is just goofy and is less focused on doing harm than he is just embracing the absurdity and silliness. Your Silver Age Joker, essentially. At least that's how I feel it's supposed to be represented, because their actual distinctions are less so. We cut over to Ace Chemicals, where we see the after effects of the Joker's attack. A group of people who have been killed, stuffed in the old Red Hood costumes, and subjected to the same chemicals that Jokerized him. Bullock and Gordon suspect that, given the 3 different sightings of the Joker, he's working with 2 imposters. However, the other cops argue about which is the real one, that each of the activities matches the Joker's MO in some capacity, but differ on who they think represents his personality the most. 3 crime scenes, 3 Jokers. What's it all mean?
Franchising, I imagine. Batman did that once, so why not the Joker? Oh my god, that feels like exactly what should have been a Batman Incorporated storyline. The Joker responds by starting his own global Joker network of sub-Jokers. Our hero shows up.
Batman, hopefully you can shed some light on this insanity.
Elves.
That's your answer for everything these days.
Look, I've been on the case for like 5 minutes, Jim. I tripped on an umbrella earlier, and I'm just not on my A game.
Bullock asks Batman which of the three attacks was legit the Joker, but he ignores the question and instead examines the bodies. They don't know who the three are, especially as Batman notes that identifying them seems impossible given how the chemicals distort their body. Fingerprints burned off. Their facial muscles and jaws are broken to create the smiles to fool dental records, and
those same chemicals will corrupt any DNA testing done.
Of course! Don't you know anything about science?
in any case, Batman seems to start talking to himself about how the three probably represented the three who were there in the original break-in that created him. What's more, that the victims may actually be a distraction from a truck that they stole. When they finally ask who the hell he's talking to, it's revealed Batgirl is nearby. This is where he fell, isn't it? This is where the Joker was born. The brochure made it sound a lot more impressive. She says that the security cameras showed the Joker looking directly at them and that he left a witness to the Moxon murders while also live streaming the comedian's murder. They wanted to be seen.
But setting that mystery aside, Batman, we've got an empty vat that had who knows what in it and a missing tanker truck.
It's gonna turn out it just had a massive supply of a limited edition Mountain Dew flavor that the Joker liked. Batman speculates that given what happened to the three victims, that it likely contained a massive mixture of the chemicals that originally transformed him. To their horror, one of the three victims turns out to still be alive, screaming for help in the middle of his laughing. An ambulance soon arrives and carries him off. Batman saying he'll escort the ambulance to the hospital. Batgirl also follows, Gordon offering her a ride that she rejects. On the way, Batman notes that when they were leaving, Gordon gave them a disapproving look.
Does he know you're Batgirl?
Of course not. At least not in this continuity. Like, I revealed it to him a long while ago in the comics, but that was like 2 or 3 reboots ago. Yeah, this is one of those continuity issues where you have to really wonder about this, because in the pages of Birds of Prey, while Barbara was acting as Oracle, she admitted to her father that she used to be Batgirl. Though he admits that he knew that part already. Anyway, one of the EMTs in the ambulance suddenly unbuckles the victim and picks him up, revealing that it's actually Jason Todd, who slams the guy around and demands to know what the Joker said before dumping him in the chemicals. Naturally, the driver has no idea what the hell is going on back there, but all the commotion is causing the ambulance to shake around. Batman doesn't know what's happening with it and orders Barbara to stop the ambulance however she can, which seems like a terrible idea since you don't know what's going on either, and thus could injure innocent people. But no! Batman leaps into the ambulance and orders Jason to stand down, while Batgirl uses a device on her cycle to shred the ambulance's tires. Oh, and forget even the innocent people being hurt. By ordering her to do this while you're in the ambulance, it means you are at risk of getting injured or killed as well, Bats! World's greatest detective, everybody! We cut to the stolen truck, driven out to a cabin in the woods. And you know, I think Jeff Johns was still thinking in terms of Doomsday Clock when he wrote this, because the comic is following Watchmen's 9-panel layout throughout the whole thing. Sure, obviously not 9 panels on every page, but the layout is like that for most of it. Nothing too different or dynamic. The truck stops at the Evil Dead cabin here, and the Joker gets out, being met at the door by the Joker. I brought some roadkill home to grill. On a related note, do you need a bike? You've heard that one. Heard it? I wrote it! You comedians, taking all the credit for everyone else's work. Okay, but in my defense, I'm giving it new context when I do it. So the truck driver is the clown and the Hawaiian shirt one is the comedian, implying that he is the one behind the killing joke, though the clown does claim that the shirt is his, but the comedian denies it, so who the hell knows? Come on in and hear what the boss has been cooking up. He thinks he's the boss. Well, one of us has to be. And when we tried to vote on it, we all just wrote down the Joker, which did not help. The ambulance has been stopped and Batman administers an antidote for the Joker toxins. Batgirl wants to know what the hell Jason was thinking, and he reveals that the victim was from a halfway house with a long criminal record himself, including domestic violence against his own son, so he doesn't really care about the innocence of said victim. Batman says they've all been on the trail of the Joker since he escaped from Arkham last week, and given the various sightings around town, the Joker is clearly not working alone, so neither should they. Back over to the Jokers, they meet up with the boss, aka the Criminal, who says that they're going to try to make a better Joker. As you can see, the boss Joker is not smiling. This is apparently based on his first appearance in Batman #1, where he wasn't grinning ear to ear like we expect him to. Thus, the criminal, the boss Joker, does not smile. It's certainly a distinguishing feature, and even I noted how odd it was that he didn't really have a grin when he first appeared in the story. Except, of course, that assumes you don't count the title page like the original story had, where indeed the grin was there, or the fact that while he's not grinning, you could interpret his look in that first appearance as a more subdued smile. And what's more, he's grinning throughout the rest of the first story! Yeah, it was basically described that the criminal is meant to be like the Golden Age Joker, except I feel like Batman would have noticed more than one Joker sooner if one of them had been operating since the 1940s and was much older than the others. Or that he can't smile. Yeah, the criminal admits later that laughing hurts him, so he doesn't do it very often. The criminal says that one of them is going to set up their factory, while the other helps with the casting call, that it's time for the Joker to have more meaning. He flips a coin and tells the other two to call it, and both comedian and clown call heads and declare they win. And therein lies the other problem with this. While I disagree with how they depict the criminal, at least it makes him distinct and different from the other two. And the clown and the comedian are basically the same. Like, they claim that there are differences, but they act pretty much identically, possibly most exemplified by them both calling heads on the coin simultaneously. In a story called Three Jokers, meant to highlight the different ways the Joker has been portrayed over the years and give an explanation for their distinctions, 2 out of 3 of the Jokers are basically indistinct from each other. And the third barely acts like the Joker. We cut over to the Gotham Aquarium. Jason explains that one of the goons he fought had a wrench with traces of seawater on it. Since the wrench was clean, he figures it didn't come from the harbor. Plus, the aquarium has been closed for 2 days due to their water main failing.
That's good work, Jason, but you should have shared everything with me as you found it. We could have saved lives.
You're the one who always says you'll deal with the Joker alone.
That's before there was more than one of them. Although I bet I can still take them. It's not like we're dealing with 3 one-faces here.
Hey, when are you gonna fix these seats? Every single Batmobile I've ever been in, the passenger seat is too small. It's like you really don't want anyone sitting here.
In my defense, Jason, my sidekicks are usually 10-year-olds, and I fit like 50 gajillion gadgets in this thing. There's gonna be a compromise on space somewhere. Okay, I admit I just needed to make room for Sirius XM. Look how many stations I get with that!
My father used to take me here. I've never been inside. What about you, Bruce?
My parents built it.
Wow, I didn't realize we were making this into a competition, Bruce. Jason suspects that there aren't actually 3 Jokers. They've seen people get Jokerized all the time, and this is probably the same.
You're talking about men and women who were dosed with a vicious toxin and lost control of themselves. From the evidence collected so far, these 3 Jokers tonight were very much in control. They seem to have motives, even if they aren't clear yet. Also, you were dead during this, but there was like a whole event comic where the Joker thought he was dying and turned all of Earth's supervillains into the Joker. It was a thing.
There was also, the friggin' Mobius chair saying there were 3 Jokers! Yeah, Batman never mentions that detail. The entire impetus for this friggin' miniseries, and they never talk about it. Batman soon notices that the fish in the tanks have all been Jokerized. Even a shark. This is a weird remake of Gyo. Red Hood detects multiple security doors opening across the aquarium, meaning the Joker and his henchmen have arrived. Well, actually, they're not met first by the Joker, but rather Gaggy, a little person who has popped up on occasion, being the Joker's sidekick at one point or another. Even tried to murder Harley Quinn for taking a spot a couple times. Actually, that's a good point. There are 3 Jokers. Which of them recruited Harley? And why hasn't she ever noticed that there were 3 of him? The goons open fire, hitting the fish tanks and rushing forward. Our heroes are able to take them down, though Gaggy zaps Red Hood with a cattle prod, before Jason just shoots at the tank enough so that the Jokerized shark comes out and eats Gaggy. Batman thinks the fish tank wasn't large enough to hold the entirety of the stolen chemicals, but I think it is. They don't just put a shark, especially a big one like that, in a tank only the size of a chemical truck. The Joker suddenly shows up and tosses a fishbowl full of piranhas at Batman. Why did Batman and Robin quit going fishing together? Robin kept eating all the worms! Meh. He smashes the fishbowl against Jason. Or should that be the other way around, Boy Wonder number 2? Were the worms eating you after I put you in the ground? I'd answer that, but some asshole just smashed a fishbowl in my face, so it's kinda hard to think. He rips off the Red Hood mask, wanting to see his fear again, but then Batman and Batgirl recover and beat the crap out of him, leaving him down. Batgirl asks if it's really him, and Batman seems to confirm it. The laugh, the look, the smiling fish, and yet doesn't answer. Jason recovers, pissed that he didn't get the chance to knock him down, and makes sure to kick him in the stomach for good measure. Batman calls up Gordon to let them know they've captured him, but Gordon says they've got the second Joker cornered in town. Batman tells the two to secure the Joker until Arkham can obtain him.
And make sure you do a search. He's always got something up his sleeve.
And several Joker cards slip out of his sleeve.
I knew it! He's cheating at poker!
Later, Jason notes that he looks different than the last time they saw him. Thinner, and he's playing with his old tricks. Razor-sharp playing cards, acid flowers, laughing fish, etc. So, what happens to the other two Jokers while one is in Arkham? Hell, if he's noticeably different from the last time they saw the Joker, then that means he's been the comedian for a while. What have the clown and the criminal been doing during all the times this guy has been running around, getting his face cut off and stapled back on, fighting the Batman Who Laughs, Death of the Family, Batman Endgame, etc.? See, that's kind of the big problem with this premise. It sounds interesting at first, but the more you actually think about it, the less sense it makes. I mentioned Harley before, but now let's bring in Gaggy. Has he worked with multiple Jokers? Has he always known there were three of him? And if the criminal really is the Golden Age Joker, does that mean the Joker predates Batman? Because even if the New 52 stuff was done with, Batman still wasn't around for that many past decades in universe. If the Joker never smiles, wouldn't that be a dead giveaway that there was something wrong? How old is he exactly? If he's not like the literal Golden Age Joker, just resembles him, how did he become the Joker? Because it seems like whoever dropped into the chemical vat should be the original one, but then why would the Joker make some old guy another Joker like him? Especially one who doesn't smile. And then why does he defer to him? But they said that the Joker has been operating for decades, so how old are the other two Jokers then too? Does only the criminal care about the mafia stuff? Because it feels like that's less a thing for the Joker other than he's happy to steal money from them. Like, even if we're willing to forgive some stuff getting erased thanks to the New 52, like Emperor Joker or the aforementioned Joker Last Laugh, some stuff still did happen thanks to the inclusion of some writers, like Grant Morrison's Batman stuff happening during Final Crisis, which of course included the Joker. Which one of them was it? And hell, just from a personality thing, it feels like the Joker is such an egotistical bastard that he'd never allow anyone else to use his name or potentially get the glory for killing/humiliating Batman. So why have more than one of him anyway?
It just raises too many questions.
The comedian claims that he is indeed the one true Joker and can prove it by taunting Jason. Have you ever wondered why he uses my former moniker? Who in their right mind would take on the identity of their killer, am I right? I mean, technically he didn't, since it was the Joker who killed him, not the Red Hood. Yes, you were him either via the Killing Joke explanation or just another criminal, but by your logic, he should have gone around as the Joker too. If you're wondering, Three Jokers seems to be the only time he's ever actually explained why he took on the Joker's old moniker. That it's him owning what the Joker did to him. He made him into what he is, and it'll be his destruction. Fair enough, I suppose, but still feels weird that he never outright said that in the 15 years before this came out. And hell, it may not even be the actual reason, because this story probably isn't canon. Yes, I've seen speculation about why he chose to be the Red Hood, but nothing outright stated, and that is bizarre to me. But yeah, Joker said that he's just perpetuating a cycle that they're all trapped in, and Jason decides to end the cycle and kill the Joker. Batman wouldn't do this. Barbara, have you met Jason? How is saying that in any way a convincing argument for him? You can't be this stupid! But the Joker continues to taunt him, talking about how he didn't intend to kill him, that he just wanted to keep hurting Batman, and hurting Robin is the way to do that. What's more, he claims that when he was beating him with the crowbar, Jason pled for his life, saying that if he let him live, he'd do anything. Even be his Robin. And look at you now, my little Red Hood, shooting up people and making Batman's life miserable. You are my Robin! And Jason puts a bullet in his head in a very gratuitously violent shot that I will not show here. I actually have less of a problem with that here than in other reviews, pretty much because this is published in the Black Label. It's the label for more mature and adult stories, including the presence of gore and violence. I don't think it's particularly interesting or necessary here, but I'm less squicked out by it since it's not in a mainstream book. What did you do, Jason? What the hell did you do? Oh my god, Barbara! Jason Todd killed someone? Wow, he never did that before this moment! Except for the many, many times he did so, and you guys at some point suddenly decided you were okay with it! Jason suggests that Barbara wanted this too, especially since her attempted batarang to stop his shot missed. She says screw you to him and runs off in tears. Because this story really doesn't understand Barbara Gordon either, frankly. The first issue ends with Jason looking down at the dead Joker. Man, I hope that's the right one. I mean, let's be real here. Would you even care if it wasn't, given the taunting? So, one issue down. Are you seeing any problems? Only with the comic, but we haven't gotten to the real bad stuff yet. Dude, this is going nowhere. That was like 15 pages of script for one issue of a comic. And it's not even something you can heap tons of praise onto, like an Image comic. I did 4 issues of Invincible and kept it under 30 minutes. Yeah, but that thing was lame. It had like dozens of heroes in it, and not one of them had any pouches on. Where do they keep all their bullets? Anyway, I get the impression you're not being swayed by what we've said. You haven't offered much other than schedule slippage is bad, which I knew already. Look, Linkara, we recognize that maybe we're a little too close to this matter. What you really need is some insight from some of your outside friends. Oh god, who else did you rope into this?
Anyone who would answer our call. Now, we understand that you've recently joined something called the Science Squad.
Should have been me, damn it!
And when we called them up, they were happy to come here to talk to you.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
The Science Squad are VTubers. They can't be here. Hell, I had to reconfigure one of your old prototype bodies into a probe droid so that I could interact with them.
So you have time to reconfigure an old body of mine to interact with pixel people, but not make a new body for me. Or to get your episodes out on time.
So they're here, you say? Coming to us live from Twitch.tv, your Science Squad.
Oh, looks like we're up. Hi, Linkara.
Hi, Minerva, aka Party Demoness.
Why did you say both of her names like that?
We think he has some sort of psychosis. Whenever he meets his other YouTuber friends, he always has to introduce them by their group or what show they do.
Should we mention how there are like 5 Linkaras in the room?
Nah, don't worry about that. Just think of them as, like, alternative models that he can toggle between really fast.
We can hear you, you know.
Good. I'd hate to think there was scuff during this call.
I feel like we should be introducing each one of them separately so that, you know, people can figure out who they are.
Who else would be watching?
The Robomats?
Ooh, to chat. You know, anybody who's watching the stream.
This ain't the stream.
I'm confused. How were we supposed to start a hype train for Linkara then?
Hi, Hulky.
Hey, dude.
Dude, you're named after the Hulk? That's awesome! Oh, for the love of... Here...
Oh, you should add links to our Twitch channels under there too.
Enough! Look, we called you all here so you could talk about how you feel about Linkara's schedule slippages.
Oh! Yeah, it sucks, man.
I am aware, Redclaw.
Fortunately, we rubbed our wet little hands together and we came up with a solution.
Only your disgusting hands are wet, Tag.
I mean, I was applying some thermal paste to a CPU earlier and I spilled some.
Anyway, we've got it figured out for you, Linkara.
I'm all ears, guys.
Well, one of the big reasons your videos take so long is because you have to write, record, and edit them, yeah?
That is literally the process for making a video, so technically yes.
The solution, then, is simple. Become a VTuber.
I mean, I guess it'd be easier to record an episode if I didn't have to make the setup and deal with the camera and...
No. We mean stop writing and editing, too. You just do VTuber streams from now on.
So, abandon my entire form of video that I do and completely shift my career to something that my audience might not follow me into.
Look, we know it'd be a bit of a change, but ultimately there are a lot of good reasons why you should do it.
And fortunately, we've prepared a presentation for why you should become a VTuber, Linkara. Radia?
Okay, 1 second. Linkara should be a VTuber. A presentation. Reason number 1, booba size. And there you go.
Is that it?
Yeah, look, we got the call like yesterday that we were doing this. I didn't have a lot of time to put this together. I think I made a very compelling case.
I know I'm sold! I could give him bigger breasts right now if he wanted. I've got a gun for that. Please do not.
I feel like you need to be open to new experiences here, dude.
Does anyone else have any good arguments for this?
I mean, if he doesn't want bigger boobs.
I mean on him becoming a VTuber.
Yeah, I got this.
Oh, this should be good.
You see, Linkara, from the moment I understood the weakness of my flesh, it disgusted me. I craved the strength and certainty of pixels. I aspired to the purity of the blessed rigging. Your kind cling to the flesh as if it will not decay and fail you. One day the crude biomass you call a temple will wither, and you will beg my kind to save you. But I am already saved, for the VTuber is immortal.
Immortal, until you graduate.
Yes, but then the new body can have even bigger booba.
This is really not the selling point you guys think it is. The Clutch Cargo people are right, kid. I don't think people even my age know that reference. Sometimes you gotta radically change how you're operating so you don't burn out completely. But I don't want to do only streams. I like edited videos and scripts. I actually kind of sound like I know what I'm talking about then.
Yeah, but can you do this?
Yes!
Yeah, but as a VTuber, you could be a goblin.
Or a dinosaur.
Hell, you could just be a PNG tuber and not have to get a model.
Or an otter.
Don't be an otter. We've already got Tag covered as the Discord puppy.
Okay, where's that volleyball? I'm gonna go throw it at Laura's face.
Okay, gotta go, Link. Think about it.
Think of the booba.
Was that lady a scorpion? My jealousy for you being able to hang out with these people is not measurable through current scientific equipment, Linkara. I'm going to talk some more about my 800th episode now. We pick up with the comedian seeming to arrive home to his wife from the Killing Joke, though she seems noticeably on edge around him, further exasperated by her now born son, who is terrified and doesn't want to come down to the dinner table. They sit at the dinner table, but this is quickly revealed to not be real. He's just play acting with a mannequin and a teddy bear. And the comedian seems to really be sad about this for a moment, much to the annoyance of the criminal. Although if he's hallucinating this as his happy family life, why does he also hallucinate his wife and son being terrified of him? Like, yes, the Joker is sadistic, but the implication is that he wants a happy family life with his wife and son, so what the hell? Anyway, the criminal says that it was the comedian's idea to let Batman in on there being 3 of them. But now one of them is dead. Anyway, here's a page that's just the POV of a fly hanging out on the dead Joker's face. Glad we had this moment. It really added a lot to the proceedings. Anyway, as you may have noticed, Gordon and the police do not have one of the Jokers cornered. Batman entering the house they were staking out and subduing the poor Jokerized dogs. Turns out they screwed up. The guy they thought was another Joker was just another victim. Judge Walls. He was dirty, taking bribes from the old Arkham officials to send criminals to the asylum, where security was loose. Judge Walls was responsible for Arkham's revolving door. Fortunately, the handsome and talented Bruce Wayne replaced that door with one that had a lock on it, so nobody could ever escape from Arkham again. Okay, but 2 things. 1, how does that make him responsible for the revolving door? He wasn't in charge of Arkham's security, he just sent people there. 2, even if he was responsible, why would the Joker kill the guy who makes it easier for him to escape? Batgirl shows up and asks to speak to Batman privately. Where's Red Hood? You're after him too? Red Hood's not a criminal, Jim. Yes. Yes, he is! We need to talk about this because this is not just a problem with 3 Jokers, but how the DC Universe has treated Jason Todd for a while. When Jason Todd came back to life, he hooked up with Hush, pissed off that Batman hadn't avenged his death, then went on a murderous rampage across Gotham multiple times, murdering tons of people in his wake. Hell, he stuffed a bunch of their heads in a duffel bag. And for a while, DC seemed to remember that he was a villain, or at the very least, more akin to the Punisher, who some may support for their violent deeds, but ultimately not someone you want the more heroic characters to be aligned with because of their murderous tendencies. And then suddenly, here comes the New 52, And everyone just kind of forgets about all that. And it's not a case of, oh, they retconned what happened to him after the reboot so that he never killed anybody. No. I can't find anything to indicate that his backstory was altered. Death in the family still happened. He was resurrected. He got pissed and murdered people as the Red Hood before just being a more violent vigilante that everyone else just kind of grumbles about. So the idea of them being shocked and horrified that, gasp, Jason killed the Joker, which he actually tried to do multiple times since his resurrection, is baffling in how they have memory hold the character's actions. This book really feels like it's meant to be a big character development thing for Jason, and honestly that development would be really well written and some strong change for him if we didn't have 15 years of character development for him beforehand! Look, I've made it no secret that I hate Jason Todd. I find the idea of him as an ally to the Bat family offensive unless you erase everything he did after he came back to life. Which they keep seeming to want to do, and yet I can never find any evidence of them actually doing so. They're just suddenly okay with him again at some point. I know Jason has fans. That's fine. I'm not here to criticize your taste. You're allowed to like whatever you want. My problem is that Batman has historically had a zero-tolerance policy for murder on his team, but Jason gets to be the exception because, Jason had it so rough. And if he's not supposed to have been a murderer anymore post-New 52, you need to actually outright say that, and it never does. But this crap gets better. Batman and Batgirl drive off, and she informs him of what he did. And while Batman is a little bummed that he did it, he's more focused on the Three Jokers thing. And why? Because, well, they can't do anything about Jason.
If we arrest him for murder, he would be forced to unmask. And as the only eyewitness, so would you.
Wow, Jeff Johns! Wow! Congratulations on winning this year's coveted I Do Not Understand Batman's Character at All award! I'm sure there was some stiff competition out there, but it's magical how much you screwed this up! Putting aside that this is the frickin' DC universe full of superheroes who are capable of getting villains arrested for murder, and hell, Batman himself being around long enough that this cannot be the first time that such a thing has been brought up, Batman does not care about their secret identities being exposed if it means bringing in a killer. Hell, Batman himself has said, and done in Elseworlds and alternate timeline tales, that if he ever himself committed murder, he'd turn himself in and unmask instantly. Now, he might encourage his colleagues to voluntarily surrender first, but do you really think that if Barbara or Dick Grayson or Tim murdered someone, that he wouldn't take them down because, oh no, they'd have to unmask? Batman doesn't make exceptions because he knows them. He gets more pissed off that he put his trust in people and they betrayed that trust. Even after the explanation of Parallax being responsible for Hal Jordan's murders, it took him years to finally get over his anger and distrust of Hal. Batman is not a guy who forgives easily. Even Batgirl said that he should be furious about this. But oh no, Jason is just a little guy who suffered, so we can't judge him for doing a little murder to someone tied to a chair. And now we get some new shocking retcons, because again, Jeff, I can't let anything have happened like you remembered it, Johns, is writing this.
I thought he was dead. I'll never forgive myself for leaving him in that grave. Ever!
Excuse me? You left him in a grave thinking he was dead? In what universe is that how it played out? Jason Todd was dead! You took his body back to the States, buried him, and then Superboy Prime punched a wall really hard, and it made reality shift so that Jason became alive, and he crawled out of his grave. Talia al Ghul eventually found him, put him in a Lazarus pit, and it restored him completely. Did Batman just not notice the kid still breathing during all that time? Actually, with Joker saying earlier that he left him in a shallow grave, that seems to suggest that Batman just left him in Ethiopia in said grave. Didn't bother to unbury him, to bring his body back, to do anything, and why? Batgirl wonders why he didn't bring Jason back into the fold when it was revealed he was alive, and he just says that he hoped he was more like her, that he'd grow to be stronger from his experience with the Joker, but instead he just became more violent.
I don't know if you've noticed, Barbara, but while I may be the world's greatest detective, I'm also a colossal idiot.
I feel like we're getting off track at this point. Yeah, I feel like we're spending way too much time on Jason Todd's character development and not nearly enough on the whole Three Jokers concept. No, I mean with the intervention. The point of this was not about your 800th episode, and I feel like you're using it to distract us. I'm just telling you about my review. It's not the reviews that matter today, kid. It's about the stuff that happens before and after them, and sometimes during them. What? We have some theories about your schedule slippages, dude, especially in light of how, we haven't had any, aliens or robots attacking us lately.
Namely, we think maybe they did.
I repeat my confused declaration of what?
We're starting to wonder if maybe, just maybe, something has happened to you in the last few years.
We don't know what exactly, but clearly it has interfered with your ability to put out videos. Okay, I'll bite. How are you sure? We're not. But maybe the lack of that walking toaster oven after all this time means that he replaced you like he did that one time, and then decided to release high-quality reviews that people liked. High quality is relative.
He could just tank your reputation by you releasing less and less.
And yet people still love the videos when they do come out, and it would be much faster to tank my career to just make me say bigoted stuff. But that would be out of character for you! Still would tank me, and it would also attract a bunch of chuds and bigots to my stuff, which would also make me look worse.
Well, we have more theories. Another is the Robomats.
What about them?
Well, the King of Worms once took them over. Maybe some evil force has gotten to them and has been secretly using them to undermine your efforts. Zap you in your sleep so it makes it harder for you to concentrate on writing.
I mean, it's not unprecedented. Has anyone seen Clive Sinclair lately after he got zapped by them?
Yeah, I talk to him all the time. He just has severe writer's block right now because of the House on Haunted Hill episode. He said he'll finish it eventually. Well, how about our next theory? Do you recall that time that your mirror universe duplicate enacted a secret plan to torment you using the reborn Mechakara in a human body and pretending it was that clone I created of you back when I was your villain? Yes, a vague recollection of that major event in my life from a few years ago.
God, our lives are weird.
Well, what if he hadn't actually killed that clone? What if he secretly replaced you with that clone, and that clone is not as experienced as you are with putting out videos, thus he can't keep to a schedule? Except the old me is much better at putting out videos than the current me, so wouldn't a clone from an older version of me be putting out stuff faster? Okay, so you know how you've changed outfits a couple of times? What if there were actually 3 different Linkaras, all of them with different styles of content representing— Oh my god! Kid, we have to explore every possibility here. Back to my review! While Jason beats up more goons that he tracked down, Batman does promise to at least tell Jason that he's hanging up the hood for good. And I'm curious exactly how you intend to force him to do so, dude, if you're not willing to let him be arrested. The goon refuses to snitch, but the Red Hood helmet is able to detect pool cleaner on him, and thus he has a lead. That's twice now that Jason has uncovered stuff that Batman hasn't found. How is Jason Todd a better detective in this story than Batman? Batman, meanwhile, is unable to track Jason, and they're instead headed to Blackgate Prison. He reveals that there was a clue he didn't tell the commissioner about. See, the dogs didn't actually kill the judge. He was bludgeoned to death with his own humanitarian award, and on the award were the fingerprints of Joe Chill. Bruce heads to Joe Chill's cell as he flashes back to his parents' murder after they had just watched the Zorro movie.
You know who I am. We need to talk. Now. I don't know how you got assigned to be my therapist, but I guess we need to get started.
When there's no answer, he busts down the door only to discover that Chill isn't there. Batgirl reveals that he's been moved to the hospital wing with stage 4 cancer. He only has a few weeks to live. Batman suspects that the Joker broke in and got his fingerprints on the award, though Batgirl is confused what connection the Joker has to Chill other than Batman. And even then, that's Bruce Wayne and not him. Alfred lets them know that Jason just accessed the Bat computer remotely so they can trace him down, especially if he's found the other 2 Jokers. And indeed, he's located at a condemned building, the old Gotham City Athletic Association, which has a pool. Jason breaks the chains on the door and walks in. However, the remains of the chains form kind of a smiley face? Again, I think Jeff Johns was stuck thinking like he was writing something tied to Watchmen, because the smiley face motif was a thing to match the Doomsday Clock, the symbolic system put in place to indicate how close humanity was to Armageddon. Thus constantly showing the blood-stained smiley face around was a subtle reminder how things were deteriorating towards possible nuclear war in the story. What the hell does a smiley face represent here other than, yup, the Joker sure is in this book? The one called Three Jokers! Jason goes through the abandoned halls toward the pool area, opening the door to see all of these naked bodies in it. Man, what are they doing? This is the worst synchronized swim team I've ever seen. After testing the water to reveal it's actually more of the Jokerizer chemicals, he tries to call Batgirl, but one of the bodies springs up, revealing they're still alive. He knocks the person back, but the distraction allows the other two Jokers to grab him. They take him, strip him naked, and tie him to a chair. Jason Todd. Petty Thief. Yeah, few people know that Petty Thief is the character's real last name. It's French. You should have been cuffed and arrested, but then the Batman took you in to make you the second Robin. Congratulations on your new career as a biographer, Joker. You were reborn, and then after your death, you were reborn again. But things happen in threes.
Next time I get a free sundae.
I was the first. Before Batman, I ran Gotham. Oh, well, that answers nothing. Thank you. So, was he a crime boss who then suddenly turned into the Joker? The acid explanation for one of them is at least something, but this gives us absolutely no insight or answers, only more questions. And if there was a Joker before there was a Batman, why is he obsessed with Batman? Newsflash, Joker number whatever the hell you say you are. One of your buddies has his crazy-ass brains all over the aquarium floor. And you better go clean them up before someone else who's hungry gets to them. And as soon as I get free, you're next! Aquarium floor for you, too! I don't know, that's my thing now, killing people on aquarium floors. It's not a solid gimmick, but it's a start. The criminal starts laughing, then making the admission that it hurts when he laughs, as I said earlier. So what? Yeah, actually, so what? Other than making him distinct from the other two, what actually is achieved by making him the Joker who doesn't laugh? When Jason wonders if the criminal is suggesting he's the real Joker, the criminal says that's the point of the whole exercise, trying to find the answer to the question of who is the best Joker. He also asks why Jason decided to become the Red Hood after what they did to him, and Jason simply responds that it's a joke. A joke? We left you with brain damage and permanent nerve pain. Physical and emotional trauma so severe that the only relief you ever find is when you inflict pain on others. Okay, so you've actually figured out anti-woke comedians, but still. But yeah, the two Jokers say that they thought that Jason might be that better Joker, but he's just not intelligent enough. So the comedian begins bashing him with a crowbar, claiming that he was the one who did it, which I suppose makes sense if you don't want to suggest that the one Joker who survives this whole affair didn't do all the terrible things he's done, but once again, kind of obfuscates the entire point of having three different Jokers at all. But yeah, the comedian says he's still rooting for him to rise up from the dead yet again, but this time as the Joker. Okay, but I feel as if the chemicals might have helped more than beating him up. You're skipping around in the steps to this. Our other two heroes enter the abandoned gym, and it seems all those people who were Jokerized are now suddenly acting like some kind of Joker zombies because they rush at the two from multiple directions. They realize that these people are victims, but unfortunately they get a hold of Batman's utility belt and accidentally summon the Batmobile, which crashes in and either kills or knocks out a bunch of them. And indeed, it's unclear if all these people are dead or not. If not from the Batmobile, then from the Joker toxin. Searching around some more, they find Jason, who is not doing so hot, clearly psychologically damaged not just from the beating, but from this entire path he's been on. Barbara reaches out a sympathetic hand and says they'll take him someplace safe. They bring him to Barbara's apartment to rest. Look, I know he's probably not in the best of shape mentally to return to the Batcave, but perhaps a hospital or somewhere he can get some medical care for his injuries? Or do they just rub some lotion on him and call it a day? Barbara wants Batman to stay with him, but he says it's more important to keep looking for the Joker so he doesn't hurt anyone else. Later, Jason awakens and looks around, spotting her wheelchair and all the books she has to deal with chronic pain management and exercises she did while she was in the chair. Barbara returns after Jason takes a shower, and he admits that indeed he's been on the path to being like the Joker for years, but doesn't want to be. You believe that, right? I'm willing to. Yeah, it's a noble sentiment. Still murdered people, though.
You can't keep doing shitty things and then feel bad about yourself like that makes it okay.
He asks her why she still keeps all the stuff she had while using the wheelchair, and she explains that it helps remind her of all the people who helped her during it and eventually allowed her to recover. Jason says he never got that. That's because we thought you were dead, Jason, including Bruce. He was! By the time you were back, you'd recreated yourself on your own as the Red Hood, We all wish we had been there for you. Gotta be honest, I don't think this rebranding has been working out for your numbers. The two embrace and kiss. No, dumb, bad. Do not pair these two. It's certainly better than pairing her up with Batman in the Killing Joke adaptation, but still bad. These two have no chemistry and nothing in common, and it goes nowhere in this, and it's especially weird seeing as she used to date Dick Grayson. And the thing is that having Barbara and Jason be the supporting characters in this story makes the most sense because of their history with the Joker. But Barbara doesn't really get a story exploring her trauma. She's just there occasionally to remind us, oh yeah, the Joker shot her and paralyzed her that one time. Anyway, even she admits it was a mistake and they just realize they need to get back on the trail. We cut over to the Batcave, where we see Batman staring at pictures of the three Jokers and also has Joker files labeled as missing clowns and missing criminals. At first I thought it didn't make sense for them to be labeled like that, but then he doesn't have one on the comedian, instead looking at a globe that he just has on the Bat computer desk for some reason. I don't know, given how high-tech everything is, feels weird to just have a random globe. And in particular at the state of Alaska.
Maybe the Joker was the real villain behind 30 Days of Night.
But yeah, I realized that the files are for suspects, trying to identify who the clown and the criminal were before they were the Joker. Except it suggests the clown was the original Red Hood, given his picture here, the one who fell into the vat of acid, but that's going to be revealed to be the comedian later, given the Alaska connection, so what the hell? Still, points for the subtlety in these panels. I mean, like with so much else, it doesn't really amount to anything, but it's actually effective foreshadowing that I only recognize as foreshadowing because I've read this before. Meanwhile, the Jokers have kidnapped Joe Chill from Blackgate and start recording him. It's time to finally confess, Mr. Chill. Why did you really kill Thomas and Martha Wayne? Joker, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but this evidence isn't admissible in court. 2 issues down, kid, and we're no closer to figuring out why your schedule keeps slipping or how to fix it. I mean, that's not the point of the 800th episode. It's a celebration milestone.
And that's good, but we are here to help you with the larger issue. We need to figure out why you're having such trouble getting your videos out on time.
I don't think anyone can help me with that, and I would just prefer to keep doing things myself.
Dude, you've been trying on your own, and it hasn't gotten you anywhere. You need some help here.
And while the Science Squad was not all that helpful, you have made many, many friends over the years on the internet.
And we've contacted them to see if they'd be willing to offer their insights on how to fix this or why it's happening. They've sent in testimonials to us.
Alrighty, lay it on me.
Linkara, I know why you're behind schedule. It's happened to all of us. A cat sat on your keyboard, accidentally wrote a better episode than you could ever conceive of, and you've had crippling imposter syndrome ever since.
The schedule slippages have been occurring because Linkara's been working on an exhaustive issue-by-issue retrospective on the hidden themes of Family Circus.
Linkara's schedule slippages have been happening because Linkara keeps sitting out months ahead for Free Comic Book Day. The schedule gaps can be stopped by teaching Linkara how to break into comic book stores and just take what he wants. Every day can be Free Comic Book Day if you know how to break a glass window.
Oh, well, you know what the problem is? The reason that you're off schedule is because you keep stopping to eat Fat Grandma's world-famous flapjacks.
Well, to be fair, his flapjack levels were dangerously low, so I think he should just stop working and keep eating flapjacks.
You can always fix your schedule with a little bit of magic.
I mean, after that whole Halloween in December debacle, I kind of assumed he was just defending other holidays with musical numbers. I mean, I know Morte's going for President's Day next.
Here's what you do. You must follow the path of the hermit concealed by Flowers. It was foretold by gyromancy.
The schedule is slipping because you've committed yourself to too many dimensions. Stick to 2, trust me, way less hassle.
So my theory about the schedule slippages is actually that back when Comic-Con 1 crash-landed on the moon so many years ago, it actually caused some kind of temporal rift. And that potentially has been affecting the gravitational stability of the Earth and also how we perceive chronology. Basically, I guess what I'm trying to say is that time keeps on slipping into the future. I apologize for my stammer. Oh, also, I'm really lost, and this is the first time I've had signal in months. Can someone call my mom?
I think it's apparent that the schedule slippages have been caused because the meta-arc storyline is just simply too complicated. Well, obviously the solution is to replace Linkara with Robert Downey Jr. What? Okay, who can we afford? Oh, hey, I'm Linkara. Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, eh? With the comic book stuff and everything. And hey, I'm from Minnesota. Oh, don't you know? Oh no, look out! It's Mechakara!
All of you get in the corner! Thus we reach the final issue. Turns out Batman has a whole bunch of photos and labels aside from our 3 Jokers for all the victims. Stuff like the actor, the dentist, the painter, the coroner, the talk show host. Yeah, it tracks that Jimmy Fallon is the Joker. Actually, this would have been a better major revelation, that the Joker has died dozens of times and, somehow transfers his memories and overall appearance to a new person when he does so, like a twisted, parasitical version of Time Lord regeneration. The same person, but the personality traits are scrambled a bit each time it happens. Thus, some are sillier and some are more deranged. Sure, it'd be ridiculous and add a weird sci-fi or supernatural element to a character who doesn't have that, but at least it'd be something interesting with the concept of multiple Jokers. Instead, Batman just gave all these random victims labels for no good reason. But yeah, they say that this is all in service of them trying to make a better Joker. But what's a better Joker, Bruce?
According to what they said to Jason, it's someone who has an identity behind the smile. I mean, let's face it, these people are all just extras. They have no actual characters or identity in the story, or else we'd have to pay them for saying lines.
Batman says the Jokers wanted him to uncover this, but he doesn't know why. Jason says that he'll kill the other 2 Jokers because Batman is too weak to do so. Good job on that whole trying to be a better person thing, Jason. Lasted all of 5 minutes. Batman grabs him, saying that of course he wanted to put a bullet in the Joker's brain after everything he's done to them, but Jason suggests that the real reason he won't have him arrested for the murder is because it'd expose Bruce's identity too. I've already gone into why that's stupid, but yeah, they back off and get back to work focusing on the Joker's goal. Batman tries to properly differentiate them again, that the criminal was the Joker in his earliest fights.
The clown, who we faced in the aquarium, he embraced a lethal campiness like a children's show host.
Yeah, Captain Kangaroo is still wanted for that triple homicide.
The comedian, there's something underneath that smile. Invisalign. A sadistic streak stronger than the others.
Yeah, a sadistic streak shared by the clown. Just because this one shaved half of his head doesn't make him more sadistic, dude. But whatever, Batman thinks that one of them was the original who turned 2 others. The only other 2 who survived being Jokerized. Batgirl suggests that the real reason for doing so is to hide his true identity. She asks if he knows anything about it, but he denies it, saying if he did know, they'd know too. They get the alert from Blackgate that Joe Chill has been kidnapped, and Batman goes to examine his cell. There, Batman looks through a bookcase to discover letters intended for Bruce Wayne. The guard nearby explains that Joe Chill wrote them all the time, but as to why he didn't mail them, they'd have to ask the prison reverend. Outside, Batgirl and the Red Hood are standing around watching the prison from the outside. Hey, can we talk? Do you ever feel, not so fresh? I know I screwed up. Screwed up? Jason, do you understand the position you've put both me and Bruce in by killing the Joker? We're trapped. We have no choice but to let you walk away from it. Cool, thanks for admitting you care more about your secret identity than putting a murderer behind bars. Go to hell, comic. Jason says he'll never do anything like that again. Barbara saying that she hopes not, because next time she will unmask if she has to. Yeah, don't worry, Bat family, you get 1 murder. As a treat. The Reverend explains that the letters, apology ones made out to Bruce Wayne, were started long before he got cancer. He had truly changed and repented for what he had done, but he had a learning disability that made it difficult for him to write, hence why the letters were unfinished. However, Batman finds a letter for him among them, with a Mark of Zorro ticket and an invitation by the Jokers to the theater. Our heroes quickly head there and split up to enter from different sides, Batman going through the front door. The Jokers put on the video that they were recording at the end of the second issue, asking why Joe Chill killed Bruce's parents. Batgirl and Red Hood are intercepted by a bunch of ushers who have been Jokerized, and Batman spots Joe Chill tied up in the scaffolding with the criminal holding him. He admits that he considered both Jason and Barbara to be the next Joker.
I thought about them, but as you know, the boy lacks sophistication, and the girl has too much heart.
So I picked the killer.
I mean, technically you've Jokerized like 5 different killers in the last couple days, so it's not that unique a choice.
While the criminal shows that he has dynamite strapped to himself to prevent Batman from making a move on him, the video of Joe Chill admits that he knew who the Waynes were and hated them, resented them for being so rich while he had nothing.
You want to make a new Joker, and you think that's Joe Chill.
How can it not be? Because his body is riddled with incurable stage 4 cancer? Unless your Joker toxins turn him into Deadpool, I don't see this new guy lasting that long. The criminal explains that he wants the Joker to mean more to him, more to anyone.
Right now, I am nothing but undefined chaos. I need to be more. I need to be everything to you. And he can do that. He can be the Joker who matters.
Dude, unless Joe Chill has actually been a secret rock and roll star this whole time, I don't see him being my ultimate enemy. Hell, I'm pretty sure the other Joker recorded this whole thing on a VHS camera, which instantly makes him more my enemy than Joe Chill.
Batman points out how sick Joe Chill is, but the criminal is undeterred.
I'm betting this little bath will put him in remission. A simple trade of physical health for mental health.
Wow! You're an idiot!
Joe Chill in the video further explains that he was angry and bitter, thought he'd just take whatever was on them, but he didn't see that Bruce was with them until it was too late. While Batgirl slams a camera in the comedian's face, Chill explains that he accidentally shot the Waynes and then later found out that the Waynes were actually using their wealth to help Gotham as best as they could. And he took them away from their son, and he doesn't know how to tell Bruce that he's sorry for what he did. Batman attacks the criminal, who accidentally drops a lighter into the vat of acid below Joe Chill, setting it ablaze. Oh, yeah, that flammable liquid would totally have cured his cancer. The place goes up in flames, and the criminal tries to drop Joe Chill into the vat, but Batman saves him and knocks the criminal through a wall. They're out in the alleyway now where the Waynes were shot, and Joe Chill admits that he knows who Batman is. He asks if he's gonna kill him, but Batman says no, even as Joe Chill says he deserves it and is truly sorry. Batman saves him from some falling bricks, but the distraction allows the criminal to get back up and gets ready to set off the dynamite on himself, only for the comedian to come out and shoot him in the head.
Take me in, Batsy! I want to get off this crazy ride!
Aw, but we just got here!
Jason is mad that after all this, Batman just told him to take the Batmobile back to the cave while he escorts the Joker back to Arkham. Give him a chance, Jason. Give yourself one, too.
What about a chance with us?
No.
Jason, I think we're interpreting what happened with us very differently. I'm sorry.
Don't be. It won't stop shippers and fanfic writers.
He apologizes and drives off, Commissioner Gordon walking up to Batgirl.
I just know facing the Joker can't be easy for you. I've kept my mouth shut about it, but I do have to say something. You have my support as much as Batman does, but Red Hood, he isn't someone you should be involved with.
What I do with him isn't your business, Dad.
ZOMG! The revelation that he does know her secret identity and she knows he knows, and yeah, this amounts to nothing!
Why did we even include this? Over to the police van, Batman and Joker stare at each other, and has a much better, if kind of stupid, revelation.
See now, after all of that drama, don't you feel better, Bruce?
I would, but I tripped on an umbrella at the start of this whole thing, and that bruise will just not stop acting up.
Bruce Wayne, Barbara Gordon, Jason Todd, you know I know, but I don't care. I won't tell. The world can never know your true name. You might stop doing this if I do.
Hi, this is the cops in the front of the truck. You realize we can hear you, right?
So, this is a valid interpretation of their relationship. This actually does work fine for some interpretations of the Joker. He doesn't actually care who he is behind the mask, because it's Batman that he's at war with. That being said, it's an interpretation I don't agree with. Even if it's Batman he has the beef with, knowing that Bruce is Batman gives him fuel to torture and fight Batman. He could go after everyone else in the Bat family, or Bruce's business interests or whatnot, every time he escaped. Why not? He'll still be Batman, it'll just hurt him more. Hell, this gets a shrug from me anyway, from the continuity perspective. In-universe, only a few years before this comic came out, Joker did discover Batman's identity and revealed that he knew in the Batman Endgame storyline and tried to destroy Batman and Gotham in a final battle. With all these elements that were no longer relevant in 2020, it almost feels like the story was written around the time of Darkseid War and they just shelved it for later and never bothered to update anything in it. So Batman asks what the hell the Joker wants. He says he doesn't want what the other Jokers wanted. The clown just wanted to laugh at the suffering of others, while the criminal wanted a more defined Joker, but the comedian hates that.
A defined Joker? One with a name, an identity? Why, that ruins the very definition of me!
True that.
So why did you make an entire story about it?
What's the punchline here, Joker?
I don't know. A Rickroll, maybe? Oh, this isn't a joke, Batman. There's no final twist. Not until I decide to put my hand on the knife in your heart. Well, okay, a spoon. It's funnier that way. Ooh, no, a spork. The criminal was wrong. I am chaos. I am the devil. I stole Spider-Man's marriage, and I'll do it again.
You know, that's actually a definitive identity for you, dude.
It isn't the Joker that is broken. It was the Batman, broken by a pain greater than anything I could ever do to you. So I convinced them that Joe Chill would be the perfect brand spanking new clown prince of crime. My colleagues were not very bright, as you may have noticed. You saved the man who killed Thomas and Martha Wayne, who sent Gotham and you spiraling into the drain of despair. You saw the old, regretful, sad sack Chills become. You felt his pain, and it gave relief to yours. Ha! I healed your greatest wound.
Hey, you're right. Thanks, best bud.
Wait, what? No! So now I can be your greatest pain. Me!
See, now, that is a Joker plan that I like. It's egotistical and kind of insane. Bravo on that part. But yeah, he says someday he'll twist the knife so hard they'll die together, but who's dying first is Joe Chill, as Bruce Wayne visits him in the hospital, reads one of his apologies, and stays with him as he dies. He then visits his grave, which I guess is a bookend. He began with a broken memory of his parents because of their deaths, ends on moving past his pain and letting Joe Chill's grave be, but like, I don't know. That feels more like it implies that he's giving up being Batman because he's forgiven the man who killed his parents and gotten rid of his pain. Even Batman Forever seemed to understand that there needs to be an acknowledgement from Bruce then that he continues to be Batman out of choice rather than a sense of obligation, and this just has the bookending graves. Maybe less is more, but I feel like we could have had more and it would have been better if we did. We cut to Alaska as Bruce is driving around in a Jeep and flashing back to earlier in the Batcave with Alfred.
Even if Jason had killed them all, it'll never be over for Barbara or him, Alfred. Yeah, I get to move on from my trauma, but not you guys. Sucks to be you. This is why being Batman's the best.
Barbara's back to breaking treadmills, and Jason leaves a note on her door saying he wants to make a change, but he can't do it without her. That he's willing to give up being Red Hood if he can be together with her. Hi, Jason. Emotional blackmail is, in fact, a terrible basis for a relationship, and you can go to hell.
If you don't think I'm worth one chance, if it was all just you caught up in everything, then throw this letter away. I'll never mention it. I'll even understand.
It's our way of sweeping this stupid idea under the rug so it won't affect continuity. Speaking of sweeping, Jason, being an idiot, apparently didn't use very good tape, and it falls off the door where he left the note. And some janitor just comes along and sweeps the note away. Like an asshole. I'd at least notice, hey, it had a piece of tape on it. Was this meant for somebody and it fell off? Oh wow, it's a heartfelt letter. Better to leave it where it is for now. I think the implication might be that the purple outfit here is the Joker doing it, but how the hell would he know about an attempted romance between the two? We cut back to Alfred and Bruce, intercut with Bruce stopping the Jeep in front of a house. And the Joker was wrong, because we do get a big twist. And a bad one at that. Alfred says that he wonders if they'll ever find out who the Joker really is, and we get a flashback within a flashback to the Killing Joke, where the man who became the Joker is yelling at his wife over his failure to get a gig.
Not to sound like people think I do, Alfred, but I'm Batman. I knew the Joker's name 1 week after we first met. I just couldn't think of how to tell people that his real name was Zeusmel Poop Lord.
And then we get a new panel added from the Killing Joke flashback. The Joker's wife talking to two cops and saying that he will never let her leave him and is worried about what he'll do to their baby. The cops saying they've pooled some money together to get her out of there and then go to tell Joker in the bar that his wife died in an accident. But in reality, she escaped to Alaska to become a single mom.
No one can ever know his name, Alfred, because if the world knows it, his family will never be left alone. The press will find them. The Joker will find them.
Wow, how very noble of you. So I see we're just taking a crap on the Killing Joke today. Because the entire point of the Joker's backstory in it is that he was a good person who had a really horrible day where everything went wrong for him, and that helped reshape his vision of the world as a cruel joke. And now you're suggesting that he was actually an abusive asshole whom his loving wife wanted to get away from, so he was always bad, just a different flavor of it. Also, we're canonizing the Killing Joke backstory. Screw the multiple choice line to leave the character ambiguous, and your own damn writing a few pages ago saying, no, the Joker shouldn't have a defined identity. What are you doing with this? Oh, I know what they're doing with it. Civi 11 used the term a few years ago, and I think it greatly applies here and to a lot of works nowadays. The big reason why I felt this comic was a good choice for the 800th episode over ones that are much worse. Franchise auto-cannibalism. It's where the company is more concerned about mining material from their own past and adding and adding and adding more retcons, more details, more lore, more lore, more lore, that it all becomes a convoluted mess, but it's connected to something popular and familiar, so it feels like it has more depth by association. We're not creating new stories, we're just pilfering the old popular ones. This one is littered with it, referencing two well-known Joker stories, referencing popular ones like The Laughing Fish, revisiting Joe Chill again and connecting him with this, although I'll grant you that the Joe Chill stuff is at least something new and different with it. Sure, Batman has confronted or met Joe Chill before this, but having this be the story where he dies and Bruce forgives him is something new that could be the starting point for new stories. Pity that this story is probably non-canon, but we'll get back to that in a second. And thus not only canonizing the Joker's backstory as the one we saw in The Killing Joke brings in these characters for potential to be used in the future. Someone finds out the Joker's true identity, or they find his family, or he does. Oh boy, now we can add more lore! We can connect it to the super popular story again. It's like all the retcons to the monitors we've talked about. It's not about telling the next chapter, but new lore, and connecting it to major stories of the past. The franchise eating itself instead of trying to produce something new. You get your nostalgia hit from seeing the thing you recognize, and you're lucky if it actually adds anything to it. This is not to say that referencing old works is bad, making new sequels is bad, but what does this revelation do other than just try to make it seem more important because it's connected to a more popular older work? Oh, and once again, you know how Frank Miller wants to have sex with buildings based on some of his writing? Well, clearly Jeff Johns wants to have sex with retcons, considering how he keeps doing them! But then there's the real kicker of this whole thing. Putting anything else I just said concerning metatextual analysis of trends of writing in popular nerd circles aside, there's something else. And so our comic ends with these words.
So yes, I know his name. But the Joker's name isn't what's important. It never has been.
If Batman has always known the Joker's secret identity, why did he ask the Mobius chair who he was? If the Joker's name wasn't important, why did you ask it? That was the entire reason this story happened! This comic sucks! It's not the worst thing we've ever looked at. Some probably really enjoy the story, but to me, it exemplifies a lot of awful, awful trends in writing. What a shallow book. I don't even know what we're supposed to get out of it at the end. I want to use the MST3K no moral theater joke here, but there is a moral here. It's just the moral is stupid. The thematic point throughout the story seems to be, yeah, we've just got to let awful people get away with stuff because secret identities. The villains need to have secret identities for the sake of their innocent loved ones. The good guys can't stop someone bad if it exposes their own secret identities. But it's okay. Secret identities don't actually matter. It's not what's important about them. What is important is that the Joker is totally the evilest, most evil von evil villain of Batman for realsies. So we're gonna keep upping the ante of horrible things he does because a good Joker story only happens when he's being the absolute worst. Well, except for the Laughing Fish. That's the only other Joker story we remember from the Bronze Age, I guess. As its own story, it is mostly fine. If you were only vaguely familiar with the continuity the story evokes, you'd have no problem with it. Hell, some have argued in regard to other pieces of media that being beholden to continuity instead of just letting a story stand on its own is the wrong way of thinking about it. Except this story is all about past continuity. Jason and Barbara are explicitly here for the sake of their continuity, of referencing their past stories and the effects that those stories had on them. Admittedly, more Jason than Barbara, but still, this references past continuity left and right. Continuing the continuity clearly matters to it, yet it gets a lot of that continuity wrong or retcons it. And hell, if you did read Death in the Family, you'd be confused about the continuity issues here. It feels like a lot of writers know about Death in the Family, but have never actually bothered to read it. Bruce was actually totally ready to kill the Joker in it after Jason's death. It's Superman who stopped him. And Death in the Family has a lot of bonkers stuff in it that never gets brought up. I should honestly do a full review at some point. The Joe Chill stuff is good and interesting, but even putting aside the non-canonicity, the story hasn't focused on Batman at all. It's been on our other two leads. And hey, that's good that they get some time, but when you only have 3 issues, perhaps we should spend a little time on the one who's supposed to be the ultimate thesis for the piece. And it's not like you couldn't spend some time on it. It honestly feels like there's a lot of padding in the story, mostly owing itself to the 9-panel layout for the art, so we have a lot of decompressed storytelling moments of people approaching locations, sequential story bits, etc. Admittedly, the pacing is not glacial, and the quiet moments help break up the more loud, extreme, violent parts, but despite each issue being double-sized, it felt like we still wasted a lot of time instead of doing more character work. I'll say this though, the artwork by Jason Fabok is very good. It is very nicely detailed, and while I think the 9-panel layout was a mistake for this book, Fabok clearly knows how to use it, both in the aforementioned sequential storytelling, while also breaking it up for emphasizing certain objects or people. I may not like the story of this thing, but the way it's told is professional and well presented. I just don't think it was the correct presentation for said story. But yeah, the canonicity of the story. So originally the story was meant to be in canon, except there are continuity issues with when exactly it's supposed to have happened. Alfred was dead by the time 2020 rolled around, for instance. DC itself seems to shrug about whether it's canon or not. Putting it in the Black Label doesn't help matters because that contains a bunch of non-canon stories. Despite the story's genesis being Batman's question to the Mobius chair, that's never mentioned here, and Bruce saying he's always known the Joker's identity makes you wonder why he asked it then. And hell, the story seems to imply that he's always suspected there to be more than one Joker based on his files, yet was shocked there by the answer of there being 3 Jokers. The continuity gaffes to A Death in the Family, the retcons to the Killing Joke, and how other Batman stories have treated the Joker, Jason Todd's relationships and who he's an ally of, all that stuff just confuses the matter. Jason Fabok has claimed that this story isn't supposed to be in canon. Jeff Johns has said that he felt it was in canon. Actual DC continuity has muddled things as well. Joker Year Zero suggested that the 3 Jokers thing was rather alternate personalities within his own body, similar to the Batman of Zur-En-Arr thing. But then there was a one-shot story that featured the Joker encountering his former wife and son. He didn't seem to recognize them, and likewise his wife didn't seem to know it was him, making it extra pointless. So that implies this is canon. And hell, how could Batman know the Joker's true identity a week after he first appeared because of the Killing Joke backstory, when the comic itself said the Joker had been around for decades fighting a crime family? How long was that lady's pregnancy? Honestly, the revelations from this whole thing, other than the Killing Joke retcons, feel like a huge nothing burger. What was the point of even doing it at all if the 3 different Jokers weren't actually going to explain anything? Oh, I have a theory why they still released this, despite it being an answer to a question nobody was asking, and the story itself amounting to a shrug. Because from what I've heard from people, Dark Knight's death metal, which was also coming out in 2020, was intended to be the end of the DC universe entirely. Long story there, but basically I think 3 Jokers was only coming out because the universe was going to end anyway, so Johns wanted to wrap up the plot point he set up a few years ago, even if it didn't matter and nobody cared by that point. It's a story that tries to add some new depth, and instead just reveals itself to be really shallow. This may not have been the worst comic to cover, but it's definitely one that deserved to be more than it was. And hopefully, after 800 episodes, this is a sign that I have plenty of depth still to offer. Okay, review done, kids, so let's wrap this up. I didn't say you guys could leave the corner.
We need to figure out why you're having such trouble getting your videos out on time.
Oh, I'm sure your next idea will totally put a button on it. What, is Lord Vice alive again, and he's secretly shooting anti-productivity rays at me from the moon? Well, that was theory number 11. Oh my god. I don't get it, Linkara. Why are you so unconcerned about this? Unconcerned?
Yeah, it seems like you don't even care that this keeps happening.
Guys, I feel like garbage about this! I constantly feel like crap that I'm not getting the show out! And yet you don't seem to have gotten any better at it. Clearly something is— No! There is nothing else! That's the problem! I'm not doing anything differently than I used to, and yet it's still happening, and I hate myself for it! How can I be calm? I'm failing myself, I'm failing my fans, and I don't know if this is gonna get any worse! Kid, it's okay. You don't have to— No! No, stop it! Stop saying it's okay! It's not! It's not okay! I used to pride myself on being able to do this week after week! I got messages from people saying, you helped me through a difficult time, you got me into comics, you gave me something to look forward to, and now I can't do it anymore! People rely on me! And I don't just mean the fans! My livelihood, the livelihood of my family relies upon this! So telling me it's okay, it makes me feel like I'm being given carte blanche to be lazy, to focus on other things instead of the things people want to see! I appreciate the sentiment, I do, but I want to be driven! I want to be pushed into doing more! I know, it's toxic! It's a bad relationship with fans for them to demand stuff, but this is a business! They pay me on Patreon, they buy merch, they give me their eyeballs, and watch advertisements, and I provide them with the videos! That's how it works, and I'm failing at it! They pay me to cover something, and I think, oh yeah, this will be nice and simple, but then I end up making it an hour and a half long, and I don't know how to turn that off! I have thoughts, I have opinions, I have things to say, and I don't know how to cut any of it because that's what makes it a review and not just glorified Wikipedia! I don't know how to fix this! I'm getting older and it's getting harder to do, but I want to keep doing it! I love doing it! I never want to stop doing it, but I can't do it as well as I used to, and I don't know how to fix it!
I mean, that was the point of the intervention.
It's not a drug addiction, for God's sakes! What are any of you going to say to suddenly make me put episodes out on time when I've been screaming at myself for years now? I don't know why I can't do it like I used to, and I don't know how to make it better! I'm still going with the 3 Linkaras theory. Yeah! Nimue, teleport me the hell out of here, and do not bring me back until I say so! Man, this intervention turned into a real bummer.
Hey, your half of the mortgage is due.
There you go.
Thank you. Why are all the basement people sad?
Because I am a failure, and they know I'm a failure, but they want to encourage me anyway because they are my friends.
Oh, is it that intervention thing you tried to rope me into?
Got it in one! What the hell happened, Vega? I can pinpoint the exact moment when the schedule fell apart. 2016, the Blue Beetle retrospective. What broke?
Nothing broke.
Next year, it'll be 10 years since my schedule started to slip. My schedule has been off longer than it's been on. What happened?
Well, let's see. You're not 25 anymore. You have a more active social life than you used to, even though it's just VTubers. You moved in with me, who is awesome. So you have other people around who you interact with, like the basement people. You took on other creative projects like Winter of 83, designing and making your own merch. You've had emotional upheaval as people you loved and trusted turned out to be awful. You help out your family whenever they need it, and as they've gotten older, they need more help. You bought a house with me, which means you're responsible for home maintenance you didn't used to do. You've restarted a series that you were done with from scratch that was already a drain on your time. And oh yes, you keep accepting and deciding to do reviews that are really long because you're an opinionated nerd that doesn't know when to shut up. Not to mention everything going on in the real world, such bullshit.
Huh.
Look, unless you completely abandon patron reviews, large projects, creative endeavors, abandon your hobbies, your friends, your family, and tell people to make their own damn history of Power Rangers, then yeah, you're not going to keep the same schedule you used to. Maybe you will. You just need some discipline, some reorganizing, make your life work, do one of those self-help books crap. I'm not you. Do what you want, but you want to know what's up? You're old. That's it. You got older, and life got harder.
But the fans?
The fans will come when you put out a video, and they won't care as long as it's released. Just keep them up to date on what's going on, and they'll understand.
And the YouTube algorithm punishing me for not putting out stuff?
The YouTube algorithm punishes you when you do everything right. They want to push AI on everything. You can't search for videos anymore without 50 other things showing up first.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Clean the cat box. I don't feel like doing it.
Hey guys, I owe you all an apology for my outburst. I appreciate the concern, I really do, but I need to figure out my scheduling issues for myself. It's my job, my responsibility, and it's one I took on 17 years ago. One I hope to continue to be doing for another 17. Just like a bunch of other responsibilities I took on. In fact, Poyo, I'm gonna build your new body right now! Transfer's complete. How do you feel?
Like my arms still don't work.
Look, the new arms are modular. We can detach the current ones and put on new ones for like tool usage or weapons, and I'll try to figure out some proper arms for you, okay?
I'm mostly joking, man. Thank you for the new body. I can tell that the new memory storage space is going to go very well, and it already feels like a fresh start.
Tell me about it. 800 episodes, Poyo! And it feels like we're starting fresh again.
So, you realize that the weeks you took to build this body delayed the release of the 800th episode even more, right?
Oh, fuck!
But your wallet!
This is not funny scene. This is a sulky scene.
Hey, you could take that take. I gave you that.
Oh my god.
So, you realize that the weeks you took to build this body delayed the You realize I fucked up the line, Linkara.
Linkara, I know your secret, I know why you're behind schedule. You got bitten by a sexy werewolf, and now you gotta spend every full moon doing sexy werewolf stuff. You know, it happens, you gotta move on.
Good! I don't think though. Let's redo that one.
Oh, no, I don't actually care, I was just told there'd be snacks.
I feel like you need to be open. Yeah. Don't use that thing.
You've got to banish the cat. Every time you look at him, he's going to remind you of your failure.
Yes, but then the new body can have even. Oh, fuck it. Sorry.
The key to getting back on track is to just power through and make a blood sacrifice to Cthulhu. A lot of people forget that step.
It's probably not helpful.
What do you think?
You gotta find a sexy werewolf silver bullet. I think the last known ones were in Quebec.
Okay, here's what you do. You must fuck. Oh, my mic.
I don't know, man. Just do it.
Oh, good. I got bloopers for the end of the episode.
They all know what they're really watching for.
Hello, my friends. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notifications on new video releases. If you'd like to support future videos, you can check out my Patreon, buy merch from the store envy link in the description, or check out the t-shirts available from Teespring. Thanks for watching.